Good afternoon. This is Sunil Sundaraj with njvarsity.rivals.com. I'm happy to welcome in Don Bosco Prep Offensive Coordinator Iggy Urbina. Coach Urbina, thank you so much for taking some time out to speak with me today.
Yeah, of course, Neil. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, Coach. I guess we're just gonna get right into it. A very unusual, high school football season, of course, with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah.
But just the fact that the team, Don Bosco Pratt, was able to get onto the football team. I know there were a couple of times, games were, canceled or pushed back. But, of course, that signature win over Bergen Catholic, I think really, as far as, ending the season on a positive note, I don't think you could have written a better ending to that, Coach.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the football season is under normal circumstances as stressful as it is, right? With school starting and you're teaching classes and everything. And just, from the start, the uncertainty that surrounded this whole situation from the spring and not knowing dates getting pushed back and not knowing what you could do in the summer and, the restrictions that you had, to be able to come out and, like you said, be able to get our 5 games in, unfortunately, right? We weren't able to get our full 8 games that we wanted to. But just to give these kids an opportunity to get on the field with each other again and bring back a sense of normalcy to them, was huge. And it was just as big for them as it was for us, I think, as coaches and adults as well, to be able to get out and do what we love to do, with our colleagues, with the guys that we love coaching with, and with our kids that we love coaching, So it was, it was definitely, like you said, couldn't have scripted it better. We got that last win against Bergen Catholic, which means the world to our program and our families and our kids. And, it was great, considering everything, the situation, we did. There was some really bright spots to the season for sure.
I mean, can you just walk me through, Coach, just going into the season as far as the preparation, I mean, the uncertainty if you were ever going to get on the football field, but then once you got that green light, to start preparing for a season, I mean, just between the coaching staff, head coach Dan Sabella, the rest of the coaching staff, players, just to how that process, transpired.
Yeah, I think, we were all just kind of, us and every program in the state, right, was in a bit of a holding pattern, in May and June, and not knowing when we were officially going to be able to get on the field. Coach Sabella did, a great job of just communicating with us and our families in our program. Again, just keeping everybody, up to date with what we could do, what was our expected date of return. And then, once we got that go back on July 13th, I think it was, in the 10-man pods, it just took a lot of creativity and obviously a lot of planning to be able to have a workout where the guys aren't mixing, where you're keeping the kids as safe as possible. You're following all the safety protocols, but still being able, to be efficient and get good work in. And I think, as a staff, starting, like I said, with Coach Sabella, I think we did a great job of again, planning everything, keeping everything as organized as possible, and ensuring our families, because, there was a lot of questions, just ensuring our families that, hey, like your son's health is of the utmost importance to us, and your family's health is of the utmost importance to us. And we're going to do everything possible to be able to play, while keeping everybody safe and doing the right things,
Yeah, no, it's an excellent point, Coach Urbina, is that going from week to week, said having to, get that message across, because I know it wasn't easy, you saw a number of games, again, where they got canceled. And then at the last minute as well, and that's the thing, you prepare all week and then, bam, said you're sidelined, for a week or maybe 2 weeks. I mean, I can't imagine, again, how difficult that, could be, said for a program.
Yeah, like you said, the hours of preparation that it takes to prepare for an opponent, all the film that you watch and all the game planning that goes into it, the practice hours and stuff, that was probably the mental aspect of it was really challenging, and it was draining because, again, just the uncertainty that surrounded it. I mean, you were living day to day, sometimes hour to hour, and what you plan for, one night for practice the next day, all of a sudden the script changes when you get to school the next day or just within an hour of practice, even games. I mean, we saw that this season with a couple of games that got called, while teams were even warming up, not just football, but just soccer and things like that. So, it was, it took a lot of, I guess you could say, just like that mental fortitude and that willingness to adapt and to be flexible. And, that discipline to just, you could easily say, well, hey, like, we don't know if we're even going to be able to practice tomorrow, so why even plan for practice? You couldn't do that. Like, you had to plan no matter what.
Yeah.
You had to plan as if you were playing. You had to plan as if you were practicing the next day. Because, in the event that you did, you had to be ready to go. And I think that was important for our staff to make sure that we relayed that to the kids and our families that, hey, no matter what, we're going to be ready no matter what the situation is,
Yeah. How special was this team, the 2020 Don Bosco Prep Ironman football team?
They're going to go down in history as one of the most unforgettable teams for sure, and not necessarily because of, we didn't have talent flying off, the roster, what I'm saying? Like jumping out at you where you got guys committing here, you got guys committing there. We had a lot of young guys that had to come in and step into roles. And we had a lot of guys that, at any point throughout the season had to be called upon to play. And, we had guys, for example, in that Bergen Catholic game, who we had a few seniors play that had never started a game before at Don Bosco Prep, so because of the situation, because of injuries, because of whatever was going on. So it was, to me, because of obviously the situation surrounding the whole season, it's going to be a memorable one, but just the way that these kids just stepped up every single day. They were resilient. They genuinely just wanted to be out there with each other. It's going to be one that I'll never forget. I mean, that's a great group of kids that we had. And again, them being young, we're going to miss the seniors that are leaving and their leadership, but we're really excited about the group of young guys that we have coming back for sure.
Hey, can you just describe going into that game against Bergen Catholic, knowing, it said where, they were looking to end the season, undefeated, as the top team there. And then you guys being able to, I mean, again, you talk about the word resiliency. I mean, they, being able to just, sheer determination, through that game, said going toe to toe with, Bergen Catholic, and then being able to win in that, dramatic fashion, Coach. I mean, you could see the emotions, once, the players streamed onto the field. I mean, what was that like, just being in that environment, said there at Bergen Catholic?
For starters, just anytime you're a part of that game, the Bergen Bosco game, there's the buzz leading up to that week is something like, it's just something different, right? Yeah. It's really one of the best rivalries, in my opinion, in the country. And just being able to play in it is awesome. It's an honor. They're a great program. And so with a lot of history, just like us. So whenever those two teams stack up against each other, it's special. So like just that game itself was, we played a lot of, games here at Bosco. I've been here, this is my 14th year. We've had a lot of games on the road across the country. We've had a lot of Bergen Catholic games too that have come down to the wire. That game and being a part of that game was one of the best, if not the best experience that I've had as a coach. I mean, just again, the what was going on, right? Pre-game, we had a couple guys that all of a sudden that morning we found out that one of our seniors couldn't play. So boom, here we go, next guy up, and like now he's playing in the game, and it was a really special game, and like at no point throughout the game, like things weren't going our way in the first half. Those kids were fired up at halftime, like the score was tied, or we were winning, and that's what I'm really proud of, is that those kids really, especially those young kids, they really just kind of looked each other in the eye and looked me in the eye, and like at no point when I saw them, I was like, all right, we're in this game, like no matter what, like we're in this game, and the fight that they showed, that was like an embodiment again of like what we went through this season. Like that fight came out where we just kind of woke up, man. It was a heavyweight fight, man, and we were there in it, and we won in the 12th round by knockout. You know what I mean? Like that was a really cool thing. Really cool thing.
Yeah, what's great about it is that, like, even if, like, let's say one year one of the teams is having an off year, you could throw the records out. You could, I mean, it doesn't matter. It said it's just about that rivalry. It's about that competition. And as you said, it is not only, I think, the best rivalry, let's say here in the state of New Jersey, but I think, as you said, across the country when they, other, people look at other experts, they say this is the one, because you see so many players that come out of both programs that are going Division I, even, Division II or III, but, top, tier talent, Coach.
Yeah. And like you said it, if you look on the field this year, the amount of players with offers to whether it's Division I, but then the other guys that are going, they're going Ivies, they're going Division II, they're going Division III. There's so many guys on that field that are going on to more, to continue their playing careers. And that's year after year after year. I mean, so the amount of guys that both schools have put out there to play college football, and to think that at some point they all played against each other in this game that goes decades back, like longer, way before me. And
I know
it really is, man. It's a special rivalry. So that game means the world to both communities. And when you win it, it feels good. It's a special win, that's for sure. Yeah, it feels good.
It's sad that, without the fans, because the fans, the students, I mean, I said, I've been up there, of course, at Granite Hill Stadium, up there in Ramsey, and there's just, I mean, not to discount, I said being from Warda, now, of course, the field being named, Jack McGovern Field, but
sure,
the electricity, just I mean, the passion, from both student sections and the fans is just, it's amazing to see.
It's different. And I can't, I can't explain it to people. I can't explain it to my friends, for example, who don't coach high school football, like I'm like, you got to come up and see it. I'm like, because I can't describe it to you, and you won't believe me if I do. Like you're thinking it's another high school football game. It's not. It's a level above that. Like we played them in 2017 on ESPN up here, and that was wild. Like there were thousands of people here, and we lost that game. Same thing, heartbreaking fashion, right? It came down to the wire. We were winning the game, and they came out and they pulled off some great plays at the end of the game to beat us. So we've been on both sides of it, the losing and the winning end. No matter what, you always want to win. There's no doubt about that. But no matter what, you can say like, man, like that was look at that game that I was a part of. That I was coaching in, or that I was playing in, or that my son was playing in. It's a special rivalry, and it doesn't disappoint. It does not disappoint every single year.
I wanted to ask you about this non-public Group 4, section. I mean, they're again the best of the best. I mean, when you look at the schools involved here, I mean, how great is it? I mean, every year to go up against these. So we talked about Bergen. I mean, St. Joe's.
Yeah.
There's you have Bergen Catholic. You have a bunch of schools. Can you just talk about? I mean, because you have to raise your game, and against these schools. I mean, I said preparing every week, but especially against, within, those teams within the non-public Group 4. Can you just talk about that, Coach?
Yeah, it's again, it just takes hours of preparation, because it's a gauntlet. They use that word a lot. But our league is, there's no game out there that is not going to be a difficult game. There's no game out there that's, every game is going to be physical. It's going to be fast-paced. It's going to be, loaded with talent and loaded with good coaching too. I mean, there's great coaches. There are great coaches in every school. St. Peter's, St. Joe's, Bergen Catholic, Catholic. And then then you DePaul. Like there's talent and great coaching everywhere. Good football everywhere. So it's a grind. I mean, there's no other way to say it. There's a grind that you gotta. And you said that that everyone has to raise their level. It's a level of focus that again, I can't. It's tough to describe, but you gotta be ready. You know what to expect, and our families know what to expect as well. They know what the commitment is, and that's what it is. Like you got to commit to it if you want to be successful, and you got to work hard if you want to be successful. And it is. It's a special thing, and I don't know how many. And not to speak ill of any other program. You respect every program, every other league, but coaching in this league, playing in this league is different. It is very different. I think it prepares our kids, way different for college ball on the next level. I think every single kid that plays in this league is that much better prepared. It's definitely it's difficult, but it's why you do it. I wouldn't want to coach anywhere else in the country.
As we discussed before we came on there, is that a big week, Coach Urbina, as far as, seniors, signing, their letter of intent, where they're going to play next year. And I just wanted to ask you, just with, the seniors that are, graduating, I've seen it, on social media with a bunch of guys, I mean, it must really, I mean, to represent that program in such a positive manner, to see where they're going, at the next level. I mean, that's just an incredible feeling, I said, for the coaching staff, and for the school itself as well.
Yeah, it's we for this early signing period, we had 4 guys that went, that they're going to. One's going to Dartmouth, Alex Geraci and Mike Amos is going to Harvard. You got 2 Ivy League commits right there. Jay Spivak's going to Johns Hopkins, and another great academic school, and Jake Guy's going to Bucknell University. So, it's great to see those guys come in as freshmen, and all we can offer and all they can do is just we say, hey, like, just commit to what we do, and trust us, trust that the things that we do here are time tested, right? And if you follow that blueprint that we put out for you, in 4 years you're going to see, and there's going to be bumps along the way. Like, it's not going to be like smooth sailing, straight up the whole way.
Yeah.
But if you just stick with it, every family that comes through here, they can say it was worth it. If you commit to the 4 years, it is. And we're proud of those guys. We're very proud of those guys and where they're going. That list of schools is impressive. And we're definitely, very proud of those guys and the work that they put in. And one of the biggest compliments that we can get is when we talk to college coaches later on, and we ask about, hey, how's, this guy doing? How's that guy doing? And they always say, hey, coach, they're just different guys. They're prepared different. They just seem like they're just more ready to go compared to their peers. And that's a great, thing that we pride ourselves on for sure.
That's terrific. Not much of an off season, coach. You'll be getting right back at it. Said reasonably amount of shorter time. That's what speaking to other assistant coaches, head coaches, that it's 24/7, 365. That just a couple weeks after the regular season ends, or even if like last year with the state championship, regional championship games, your mindset
right
is onto the next year.
Right in it. You start planning again, like, you're talking about, who are the guys coming back, and you talk about, all right, what's the next step? We're talking about our strength and conditioning, and Coach Tank Daniels takes care of that for us, and he does a great job. And it's right back to now, you're still in the middle of it, right? Like, now you got to get creative with how you want to work out and how we can do the off season, following the restrictions and the guidelines. So again, it's just an unprecedented time. But yeah, no, it's never, like you said, it's never an off season.
Yeah.
It may not be game week, but it's never an off season. It's you're working here for sure.
That's great. I want to just pivot back to the 2019 season. I know it didn't end on the note you wanted to. So with the loss to St. Peter's Prep there at MetLife Stadium.
Yeah.
But just to reach that point, and that you guys were right there in the thick of it, and that game was for the picking. I mean I say it was up for grabs, but being able to go again toe to toe with them, and I said, I'm sure that again you want to win, but just taking some of the positives out of that game. That hey, you know what, we have something special. Again, we can build upon here, Coach Urbina.
Yeah, it was really special. We always talk about, like, we're not happy with obviously just getting to the state championship, right? Yeah. We're there and we're winning it. And so yeah, definitely a disappointing outcome. And it's still, I'll never stop thinking about it, man. I'll take that final game with me for the rest of my life for sure. But that's just because of the commitment that you make and how much how much passion you have for it. And if it doesn't bother you, then you're in the wrong field, honestly. You know what I mean? Like, if it doesn't haunt you for the rest of your life, then I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, no, it was great, especially, it is what it is. Like, everyone knows it. We had a couple down years there in between. And I think Coach Sabella did a cool thing where, like, he likes to adopt a motto for every season, right? And we were throwing around some things, and he came up with what about not done yet, right? For the 2019 season. Because again, and from his perspective, here's a guy who was his first year as a head coach here at Don Bosco Prep. Yeah. He coached against us, but he was always on the outside looking in. And so he brought in this perspective where it's like, okay, I'm coming from the outside here, and word on the street is that, like, Bosco just isn't what it is anymore, right? So so that whole, not done yet, we put that on our practice script every single day from the first practice in the summer all the way till the last practice of the year. And again, to have the year that we did and compete the way we competed, like you said, toe-to-toe with St. Peter's Prep there, that was definitely a positive, is being able to say, hey, we're not done yet, and showing that fight and showing that toughness and showing, going into that St. Joe's game, and, we were 2-4, I believe, coming off a heartbreaking loss to St. Peter's, and then we kind of, we took care of business up at St. Joe's there, and went off on a winning streak straight to the state championship. Unfortunately, what we lost, but yeah, it was special to be a part of it. Again, there are definitely some positives for sure. My family will tell you, because I think I literally said it was about 4 days. I was like, man, we should have won that game, and we keep talking about it, but it was special. It was special for the kids. It was special for the program to be back at MetLife, and just have some buzz. It was great to have alumni, reaching out saying, hey, Coach A, go get it. Love you guys. That was really, it was really cool to get all the messages from alumni saying like, hey, and just seeing tweets saying, hey, Bosco's back, Bosco's winning, this and that. That was really special.
Yeah. I mean, it said, if I recall that you defeated Bergen Catholic, was it in the state
quarterfinals?
In the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
I mean, it said, being able to, again, it said that must have been, just be able to, where you guys, you said, started under 500, and then, to go in there
and then rattle off a couple wins.
About Bergen, that just, yeah.
Yeah, and the draw that we got, for the playoffs was, it put us right back into the gauntlet of our league. Like we didn't see any South Jersey teams or anything like that. So it was Bergen, and then we played St. Joe's in the semis.
Yeah.
And then St. Peter. So it was back to back again.
I know.
Physical games, right? High intensity games.
Yeah.
Where and like we did, we unfortunately, just the way that the game is, Kyle Monunga got hurt against Bergen Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the first time he was hurt all year,
Yeah.
Which was obviously he was a huge part of our offense. But that's the game, and there's no, nobody wants to hear excuses. That was a tough draw, and to get through that gauntlet of teams, we're really, really proud of that. It really sent a statement for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and to win on St. Joe's, home field. I mean, they said that, that was impressive. I mean, just the defensive performance, in that game, was just, that
was like a classic, like, Big North, like slugfest. Everyone just taking, hit after hit. Both offenses struggling, defenses just like playing fast and violent and physical.
Yeah.
So that was just like a backyard brawl, and that we came out on top of, and that was a classic game. That was a really good game.
Yeah. I had to ask you about MetLife Stadium and Coach Urbina. It's again, a special environment, to be playing in an NFL stadium, sit on there on the sidelines. Can you just describe it, for people, I mean, I've been there, of course, up in the press box and then on the sidelines as well, but for a coach, what that is, is it, what that feels like.
It's great. It's you grow up watching, you're in North Jersey, I grew up in Secaucus. So I grew up seeing Giant Stadium and MetLife across, outside my living room. So, to be there and to be able to play there and to be able to tell your family, hey, like, we're playing at MetLife. That's a really cool thing. And I don't care if you're a kid on the team to an adult, like you said, a coach.
Mm-hmm.
It's, when you get there, you take a quick second to just kind of like look around like, whoa, like this is pretty cool that we're here.
Yeah.
And then you're right back. But also to see your kids, when they get there, they're laser focused, but like they got their phones on, they're taking a quick picture and it's cool. Like it's just it's the ultimate goal for all of these kids. Yeah. Is everyone going to get there? No. So, for some guys some guys that even don't get to go ahead and play college football, they can say, hey, I played a state championship in New Jersey at MetLife where the Giants play, where the Jets play. Yeah. Again, that's a memory they're going to take with them for the rest of their lives. So it's a really cool opportunity the state of New Jersey allows us to have. And it's definitely special. Yeah.
I mean, with Coach Sabella, like, can you tell me, first year, he's, leads the team, to, there to MetLife. What is it? I mean, you've, been under a bunch of head coaches, but what is it about Coach Sabella that, is different here and what he brings to the table?
I think Coach Sabella brings a unique blend of that old school gritty, like toughness with a new school, understands the world that these kids live in, and I think that's where, like, one of his strongest points is he knows that. Like, he knows how to get the best out of his kids. He knows how to implement what has worked throughout his career that everyone on staff, like, agrees with, that, like, that toughness, that physicality of it, while at the same time understanding what these kids' lives are outside of football with, let's say, social media, with,
Mhm.
like, call it what it is. Like, your most athletic kid, on the team is playing video games too, So,
Yeah.
it's finding that perfect blend of how to be effective in today's times and in today's game. And I think that's really one of his strengths. And the same thing in terms of his coaches. He's a leader. He's a leader, man. And
Yeah.
he's got that presence to him that not everybody has. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
And he's a pleasure to work for. I think if you're a kid, he's great to play for. And he wants to win. He's competitive, but at the same time, he wants what's best for both his staff, and he wants what's best for his kids. And I think that's a winning. To me, that's like a winning recipe, man. When that the guys that are in charge of you, right? When you're a player, and the guys that you're trusting yourselves with know that that they love you, and that they have your best interest at heart, and that they want to win, and that they can trust you. I think that's a really powerful thing, and I think he has all that.
Yeah. No, I agree. What's so great is that he's been able to do it not only in the public, school level, but, of course, here with the parochials. I mean, and again, as you said, I mean, the impact he's had on his players, his coaching staffs, the school itself, it's really great to see him, as I said, still having that level of success, here at Don Bosco Prep. I would, I said other, head coaches, don't want to forget, Mike Teal, Greg Toll, I was doing, research. I came across an article from like 9 years ago in the New Yorker, and it was about how your first day of the job, you introduced yourself to Coach Toll at midfield and explained to one of the starting linebackers had pulled a hip flexor.
Yeah.
And Coach Toll looks down and he says, until he got here, he didn't know he had a hip flexor. So I wanted to ask you about that.
That's a classic Coach Toll story, man. He was like, before you got here, that guy didn't know what a hip flexor was. I was like, all right. Coach Toll, man, like you said, I've been super lucky. And I don't want to throw this word around all the time. It's a buzzword, right? But I've been blessed. I really have. Like, I've been super lucky to have the opportunity to work with some of the best high school coaches in New Jersey. I would say across the country, starting obviously with Coach Toll. And the way he coached and what he brought and the things that you learn from him, even though you're not a player, just watching him as a coach. Again, a special coach, a unique guy that really you can't imitate. Like, you can't try to be like him, because it's just not gonna. He's one of a kind, that's for sure. And I learned a great deal from him in terms of just the toughness aspect, and just to get up and fight every single play and every single day, no matter what. That was really cool. Like, we've been around so many great coaches for sure, from coordinators that, again, like, I've been really lucky to be in this point now of my career, and to be able to look back and draw from different guys like Nunzio Campanelli, who's at Rutgers, and Anthony Campanelli, who's with the Dolphins right now. And I still talk to those guys. Anthony Campanelli sent me a message last night that I didn't see because I was sleeping, but I saw it this morning and I responded to it. Drew Lascari is one of my best friends. He's coaching at Rutgers too now with Nunzio. The list goes on of guys. Chuck Granatello, who coaches now our offensive line. It's crazy the amount of football knowledge that these guys have. And like, again, all I can say is that I've been super lucky to just be in the room with those guys and being able to learn from those guys and observe them and see how they do things and how they handle different situations. And now, be able to apply all those things that I've learned in with my kids and with our team, and, in my way, because you're never going to do it the same exact way as they do. You're going to just be able to take the way they did some things and be able to add your own blend to it. So I've been, like I said, I've been very, very fortunate to be around some of those great guys that I still talk to this day.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about brotherhood, with players, but I think with coaches, it runs the same way. I mean, to see the legendary coaches, you talk about, Greg Toll, talk about Tony Karsich, Fred Stengel. I mean, and now even here, like bridging to that next, level, so where you had Nunzio Campanelli, now you have Vito, then you had
right.
Augie Hoffman. I mean,
right.
Of course, Dan Sabella. I mean, it's just really great to see that tradition, continue year after year, Coach Urbina.
Yeah, and you know, those guys kind of, you know, they changed North Jersey football.
Yeah.
You know, they put it on the map, and they brought a level of this fierce competition amongst each other,
Hmm.
um, but always with that the utmost respect for one another. You know, and you know, the same can be said now, and they pass that down through their guys, and you could see, you know, you could see personalities kind of develop, you know, and certain traits to come out in their coaching. You know, you always talk about that coaching tree, right?
Yeah.
Um, so there's definitely things that we do that, you know, like Coach Sabella, he never coached with Coach Toll, but he knows him and he knows what he stood for. He know what he did, right? So
Mhm.
he's able to implement that and talk about, hey, like, you know, how did, you know, what would Coach Toll do, or what how do you handle this, like, but he knows him too, you know. So it's just a really interesting thing, like those guys and their legacy, what they did for North Jersey football, and how, you know, maybe they're retired, maybe they don't play as big a role right now in terms of being a head coach,
Yeah.
but the effects of what they did and their mentorship and all that, you know, that it's carried on, I think, through every one of us, and I think we're honored to be able to say, hey, like, I coached with those guys and I learned a lot from those guys, you know.
And I, you know, be remiss not mentioning John McKenna and Rich Hansen.
Of course, yeah, of
You know,
course.
and that's the thing. Yeah.
Rich Hansen, you know, like I said, I'm a Hudson County guy,
Yeah.
and one of my best friends, his father was a longtime AD at Hoboken High School. So we were those little kids in the early '90s, you know, at halftime throwing the football around, you know, like at those games. And the St.
Yeah.
Peter's Prep Hoboken game was
Yeah.
huge. So I knew exactly who Rich Hansen was when I
Yeah.
was, you know, when I was 6 years old back in 1990. You know, so again, to be able to say, like, now all of a sudden, like, you're coaching against these guys, you know, and I
Yeah.
was there at games when I was a little kid. It's really cool. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's just remarkable in, you know, course of this year that you see John McKenna and Rich Hansen, you know, now stepping down. It's just it's sort of, you know, it's sad to say because, you know, again, of what they've been accomplished and the impact again they've made on North Jersey football over the
Yep.
years. I mean, you know, I said it'll carry on, you know, forever, but it's just again, it's great to see. You know, I wanted to ask you that. Oh yeah, you know, before I get to your other roles, you know, said there at Don Bosco about the tradition, about the
Mhm.
school, you know, what
Yeah.
it means. You know, it said, I think that's so important, Coach Urbina, if you can just, you know, describe that.
Look, that's what this whole thing is built on, right? Is you know, we before every game we talk about, you know, like how in particular games, whether it's the Joe's game, whether it's the Bergen game, you know, guys always make a name for themselves. Whether it's the household names that everybody knows from the newspapers, the starting quarterback, to all of a sudden, like, you know, an Ethan Acevedo who makes these three tremendous catches against Bergen Catholic as a
Mhm.
sophomore, you know, all, you know, 5'6", 5'7" of them, you know. So the tradition here, you know, one of my favorite things is us walking out of the locker room, you know, out the back doors there of the building. We follow this like rock path, and our field's up on the hill. So
Yeah.
we go up these steps, and on the steps is the Bosco logo. And as you go up the steps, every single year that we've won a state championship back from the '60s, you know, to me, that gives you goosebumps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool. When the kids are walking up the hill, they've been doing the same chant going up the hill, you know, linked arm in arm, 2 by 2, since I don't know when, but it started before I got here in 2007.
Okay.
And alumni that come back, they're like, hey, you always hear like, hey, they're still doing the same chant.
Yeah.
You know, they go up and they walk on the field, and before they get on the field, they touch this maroon and white rock that's there, and then they run onto the field.
Mhm.
We designated it this year as our captain's rock, right? So we're inviting captains to come and sign the rock.
Yeah.
On Twitter, we had a guy who you know, he reached out to me and he DM'd me and he said, hey, do you want his, the only message I got was, do you want to know how that rock got there? And like, I was like, hell yeah, I want to know how the rock got there, you know, like, and it was like his dad and another kid's dad, you know, they helped push the rock up from the middle lot, and they put it up there, they painted it, and like that, how cool is that? You know what I mean? Like, that's just tradition, and the guys that, you know, and I'm not talking about just like the guys in the NFL now, or the guys
Yeah.
that played big time Division I ball. It's
Yeah.
guys that were a part of something that was bigger than them, right? And then they could tell their kids or their grandkids that they played at Don Bosco Prep, you know, and like when Bosco's in the state championship, for example, in 2019, hey, I went there, you know, 30, 40 years ago, you know, oh, and like, that's the cool thing. And like being able to connect with people like that, you know, like games, unfortunately, obviously this year we didn't have fans like that, but
Yeah.
being able to meet people and hear their stories, to me, that's that's huge. And to me, like, that's the selling point that we tell families is like, the tradition here, man, is to me, it's unrivaled, and it's to me, it's a very, very special thing that matters a lot to me, and it has to matter a lot. That interlocking DB, our logo, has to matter a lot to you, and because it matters a lot to a whole lot of people that came here before you. So it's a really special thing that I really, like I said, I keep saying it, but I really do feel lucky to be a part of it for sure.
Yeah, no, it's just amazing with the the alumni, and then I think they have the touchdown club. I mean, just again, so many inner layers there, and just being able to see everyone coming together is just I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you that I was reading that an article that you were at that time also the team's trainer and then a Spanish teacher as well. The component of academics as well, Coach Urbina, because everyone focused so much on athletics, but I think people need to also remember academics as well.
Yeah, it's one thing that I started here. I went to school for sports medicine, for athletic training, so that's how I started here. And I teach now. Over the years, I've transitioned. I don't do that anymore, obviously, but I teach Spanish and Italian now in the building, and I've done that for years. And so I think that's important for our families to hear and for our kids to see, is that we're talking about, hey, like the whole package, right? The whole well-rounded student athlete. Well, they see it because they see us teaching our class load of 5 classes a day, and it doesn't slow down. It doesn't slow down in September and October because it's football season. It's only more intense than ever because it's the beginning of the school year. So the fact that our kids can see, myself, Coach Sabella's in the building teaching finance classes, Coach Tank, Coach Markel, Coach Chevy, like we're all in the building with eyes on our kids. Our kids can see, okay, like look at these dudes handling business during the day. And then when the bell rings, boom, we switch gears, we put on a different hat and a whistle, and now we're their coaches. So I think it's a really cool thing for our families to see that, hey, like we're in this with you, and we're invested in here with you, and we're making this our lives too. And we're here, we're putting in the same amount of hours on this campus that you are, and more. So I think it's really important for our families to see that. I think it's a great selling point for us to be able to say that. It's a point of pride to be able to say, hey, like I do it, right? So you got to be able to handle it too. You got to handle your business like a man and do your homework. There's no reason why your grades should be slipping. You got to do that. And then when the time comes to play football, all right, put the pads on and let's go play,
Yeah, no, I agree. Being organized and responsible, said on both sides, and then, I think that's tremendous. I wanted to end, coaches, that, with family, I think, because as you said, it's a big commitment, and again, all hats off to, being able to, teach as well. And then, not only, again, academically, but also in athletics, but just, if you wanted to just how much they've meant to you, said in this journey, here.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Just just with family, like how much, it said they've meant to you, along this journey, at Don Bosco Prep.
My family is it's everything to me. Like we moved here. We're from South America, so we moved here in 1985. So I was a year and a half old, and so I always look to them as who would have thought that a kid who was born in Chile would end up in northern New Jersey, coaching at one of the best high school football programs in the country. And I tell the kids all the time, like where you come from matters, right? So, the decision that my family made, that my parents made, my dad was 31 and my mom was 27, right? So the decision that they made back in 1985 to move our family here to the United States, then that's all I need. Like everything I do every single day has to be reflective of that. Right. And every action I take and everything I do, has to justify that decision that they made back in 1985.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's a gigantic leap that my family made, moving to this country. So, I owe it to them to do what I'm doing right now. You know what I mean? And not working hard and I saw what my parents did to put me and my brother in the positions that we're in today. I owe it to them to be passionate about what I do, to love what I do, and to do it at a high level. And I take personal pride in that. And my family right now, like, completely understands, my commitment to this place and my love for this place. And as many hours as it does take away from all of our families, the one thing in common that we all have is that our families are right there with us. Like, our families are at every single game. Our families, they live for the fall. They live for our games as well. And they see how much we love it and the support that I get from my entire family it means the world to me, you know, and it's just it's special, and I think a football family, that's a whole other, I think, topic you could cover, because the sacrifices that they make for us to allow us to do what we love to do is commendable. It's huge, you know.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, I agree. And Coach Urbina, I really appreciate the time. It just has been, again, a true honor and privilege, you know, interviewing you, and, you know, just hearing you, as said, your journey, you know, said it's very inspirational. And, you know, I said again, you know, congrats on your success, and, you know, I guess, you know, and wishing you all the best, you know, said, you know, for the 2021 season.
Yeah, thank you, Sunil. Really appreciate you having me and taking the time to speak with me. I hope we speak again in the future. All right, and good luck to you as well, man. I hope to see you at a couple of our games covering our stuff.
Sounds good.